Welcome to Taiji's Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you 4 side dishes using burdock. So for those of you who's living outside Japan, you may have never heard of this vegetable burdock, but in Japan this is a very common thing, and this root vegetable has a lot of nutrients, full of vitamin and minerals, and especially fiber. I've actually seen these in American and also Germany regular supermarket. And also this burdock is seasoned right now. Burdock has actually seasoned twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring. Probably the most common dish is the kimpira, which I've already made a video of. And my grandmother used to make this quite very often. There are many dishes you can put this in, but today I'm going to show you kind of 4 typical dishes. One is so-called Tataki-Ae, meaning beaten and mixed with the sauce of sesame seeds. And the next is burdock salad, mixed with mayonnaise, and then Shigure-ni, or also called Tsukudani, with beef. But if you're a vegetarian, you can skip the beef and you can make a vegetarian variation of this. And lastly, deep fried burdock, which is also very, very delicious. And today I'm also going to show you a burdock tea. This may not be a typical thing. Somehow you can make tea out of this. So I hope this video gave you some new ideas for your cooking. And so if you get to find these, I hope you give this a try yourself. Then, let's get started. Here are the ingredients for 4 side dishes using burdock. So for those of you who don't know, this is burdock. If you didn't know, they probably don't look appetizing at all, but under these rather ugly skin, you have a really delicious root. Don't let the appearance fool you. Then for the Shigureni, here I also have some sliced beef meat. I actually sliced it myself, but you can get like the same meat for the shabu shabu, or you can just make them really small pieces. That's also fine. Then also ginger for the Shigureni, then carrot for the salad, roasted sesame for the Tataki-Ae. Then for the seasoning, I have here rice wine vinegar. If you don't have any Japanese rice wine vinegar, you can use white wine vinegar instead as a substitute. And sugar, salt, soy sauce, then also sake. If you don't have sake, then you can just use some water. I wouldn't use white wine because it will give a little bit sourness to it. And then also mayonnaise. I have here Kewpie mayonnaise. I think Kewpie mayonnaise is better, but if you don't have this, you can just use regular mayonnaise. It's also fine. And then regular oil for frying. Any frying oil you have is fine. Now let's get into it. Before we start with anything, we need to peel the skin of the burdock first. To do that, you can just use a regular peeler, but actually right under the skin is where the most nutrients are, so I want to peel it as thin as possible. And to do that, it's easier to do it by the sink. And definitely make sure you wash the burdock really well, because often they might have a little bit of dirt. So once you wash this, to peel this, it's really easy. You can just use a regular knife like this, then you run across the surface of the burdock. And then just like that, you get a really beautiful root inside. And just like that, it's peeled perfectly. Then we're going to do that for the rest. So just like that, it's all peeled. Then let's cut these up for each dish. So unfortunately, it is inevitable that it starts getting brown like this. Somehow the burdock gets oxidized once it comes in contact with oxygen. You could just leave it as it is because the flavor is not going to change. But you can also avoid this by putting this in vinegar water. So in about a cup of water, I'm going to put in just a couple teaspoons of vinegar. And then wash this in this vinegar water, and somehow it stops the oxidization process. Okay, now let's cut these up. So I'm gonna cut the bottom off and also the top part off. So then today I'm gonna use 2 for the salad, 2 for Shigureni, 2 for the tataki gobo, 1 for the deep fry. And for each recipe, I'm gonna cut them in very different ways. So I'm gonna show you that. So for the salad, I wanna make it into small strips. So just about that much. I'm gonna cut this up in medium strips, kind of like this width, about a half a centimeter or so. And then I'm gonna cut this up also about the same width, and so you have these strips like this. Just like that. And especially for the salad, it's better to have a not so brown color. I'm gonna put this in the vinegar water, like this, so the color doesn't change that much. And this is done for that. Then for the Shigureni, I'm just gonna cut into thin slices. There's no really set way for this. I prefer kind of these like diagonal looking way. I think it's kind of cute like this, so I'm gonna do that. But whatever way is fine. For this, it doesn't really matter of the color because it's gonna be brown anyway, so I'm gonna leave it that. And then for the tataki gobo, tataki means to smash. So I'm actually gonna smash this using a wooden roller like this. Just kind of like this, and then cut this up in kind of like these kind of strips. Make sure you separate them a little bit. And just pieces like this. For the deep fried burdock, I'm going to do 2 different variations of the cutting. One just very similar to like the Shigureni, and the other is just kind of strip. So the first half, I'm just going to cut into 4 pieces, just like this, and the other just into strips. Just like that. And then with that, the burdock is cut up in different ways. Then let's prepare other ingredients. So for the carrot, I'm gonna use half of this, just like that much. And then take the top off, and you can also peel this. I don't really care, so I'm just gonna use like this. Just like the burdock, I'm gonna cut into these small strips. And then cut these up. And just like that. And also the ginger, probably just need half of this. Peel the skin off. And also I'm going to cut this in a very similar way, like the carrot. And it's also in thin strips. Just like that. It is also finished. Okay, then let's make the tataki gobo. So in boiling water, I'm going to put about 4 teaspoons of salt. And then boil this for about 2 to 3 minutes. So after about 2 minutes or so, this is finished. I'm gonna drain this. Then I'm gonna put it to the side like this and then let it cool. So as we're waiting for the burdock to cool, let's make the sauce. So in a small pot, I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, half teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of vinegar, and then also 1 teaspoon of sake. If you don't have sake, you can also do without it. This will just kind of give a little depth to the flavor. And then we're going to turn the heat to medium and let the sugar dissolve. So once it comes to boil, the sugar has been dissolved, this is finished. And turn the heat off. Let's mix this with the burdock. Then I'm going to pour the sauce in here. And then mix it up a little bit. And here I'm going to put in some roasted sesame seeds. If you have a mortar like this, or if you have a food processor, you can grind this a little bit. If you don't, you can just put it in here like this. But grinding will give more flavor and also the aroma of the sesame seeds. So we're going to do that. Just about a tablespoon or so. Then once it's been ground up like this, I'm going to mix it with the burdock. Then mix this up. Then with that, this tataki gobo is finished. Then as the next thing, I'm going to make the burdock salad. So in boiling water, again about 4 teaspoons of salt. Then here I'm going to put in first the burdock, because it's going to take a little bit longer to cook the burdock. Then I'm going to cook like this for about a minute or so. Then after about a minute, I'm going to put in the carrots. Then we're going to boil like this for about another minute or so. So then after about a minute or so, I'm going to turn it off. Then I'm going to drain this. Then we're going to put it to the side and let it cool. So once the burdock has been cooled off, we're going to mix it with the sauce. For the sauce, I have here mayonnaise, just about 3 to 4 tablespoons. Then here just about a teaspoon of soy sauce. Then we're going to mix this up first. So once this has been mixed up thoroughly, I'm going to add in the burdock and the carrots. And then we're just going to mix this in. Then with that, the burdock salad is finished. Then as the next thing, we're going to make the Shigureni. So for the Shigureni, I'm using beef, but if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you can skip the beef and instead just make it with burdock. Then you can make a vegetarian or vegan variation, and in that case, just use half of the seasoning, and then you would have so-called kimpira, which I already have a video using carrot and daikon radish. Then we're going to turn the heat to medium and heat up the pan. Once the pan has been heated, I'm going to put in about 2 teaspoons of frying oil. Then here I'm going to put in the beef and kind of roast the surface of the beef a little bit. And once the beef has gotten a little bit cooked, then here I'm going to put in the burdock and the ginger. we're gonna like cook like this for about 3 minutes or so. After cooking this like this for about 3 minutes or so, I'm gonna turn the heat to low. And here we're gonna put in the seasoning. The recipe is very simple. You just need 2 tablespoons of each. 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and 2 tablespoons of sake. If you don't have sake, you can just put some water instead. Then we're gonna keep heating like this in low heat for about 5 minutes or so. So then after about 5 minutes or so, as there's no liquid, then this is finished. Then we'll turn the heat off, and then put it to the side and let it cool. So as the last thing, we're going to deep fry the burdock. So in a pot, I'm going to put in some frying oil. And then we're going to turn the heat to high and bring this to about 160 degrees or so. So once this has reached 160 degrees, I'm going to turn the heat to low. And I'm going to first put in these sticks. I'm going to fry like this for about 2 minutes or so. And after about 2 minutes, I'm going to put in the rest of the sliced burdock. I'm going to fry like this for about another minute or so. Then after about a minute, I'm going to turn the heat to medium, and then bring this to about 170 degrees or so. So the end result will be crispy. So then after about another minute of frying like this is finished. I'm going to take this out. Then with that, the deep fried burdock is also finished. So as the very last thing, I'm going to make burdock tea. So the burdock tea I've already prepared beforehand. The process is nothing complicated. You just need to chop up the burdock and then let it dry for a couple days. Then roast it for about 5 minutes or so. And then this is the end result. So in a teapot, I'm going to put in about a tablespoon or so. And then pour in here hot water. And here all the side dishes are finished. Now let's put these on a plate. For the fried burdock, I'm going to put a pinch of salt on them. And these are all finished. And with that, all the side dishes with the burdock are finished. Then let's eat. Okay, then let's eat. Itadakimasu. Okay, then let's start with the tataki gobo. Itadakimasu. Because this has been smashed, the flavor is really inside the burdock. And the flavor of the soy sauce vinegar sauce is just really great match. And as you can hear, it's really crunchy. Then the mayonnaise salad. Itadakimasu. This creaminess of the mayonnaise just kind of makes the flavor of the burdock a little rounder. And then the Shigureni with the beef. Itadakimasu. The beef and the burdock just makes a really great harmony. And Ginger does a really great job of just kind of putting it together. This is just perfect to go with the rice. So the Shigureni with beef is actually a little bit too salty to be eaten alone, but this is actually meant to be eaten with rice. Then let's have the deep fried burdock and the slice variation. So I think you kind of hear the difference, but they actually taste a little bit different because they're fried different ways. I think it's always quite interesting how each ingredient tastes a little bit different when they're cut differently. With the stick variation, you can really taste the burdock, and with the chips, you taste more of the roasted flavor, which is also great. Then we're gonna have the burdock tea. The flavor is really subtle. It's not very strong like matcha or other tea, but it's really savory. It's really soothing. It's really calming. Oh, they were all so delicious. ごちそうさまでした. These dishes were all so delicious. It's actually quite surprising with the same ingredients, they taste very differently depending on how you cook them or with what ingredients, with with what seasoning you mix them. Burdock may not be so common ingredients for you, but with this video, I hope you got some idea how to cook them, so I hope you give these a try yourself. By the way, these dishes, you can save it for later. And all these dishes are also great for a bento box, so you may try these for a bento as well. If you enjoyed what you saw, I'd love it if you hit the like button for me. If you have any question or request, any feedback, please feel free to write anything in the comments below. And if you want to see more of these videos, please don't forget to subscribe. Otherwise, I look forward to see you in the next video. Bye.